Back, Mike. How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, this time perfect. Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Look, we're being mildly facetious when it comes to the World Cup countdown, because we should stop living in the prison of only ever seeing Irish rugby through the World Cup and just enjoy it for what it is. But at the same time, it is a World Cup season, and so while we might be talking about it, obviously within the Ireland camp they're thinking about it. That's why we have the Emerging Ireland tour as well. So when it comes to the depth chart for the front row, is it very obvious at the moment? And is that one of the problems we have? Is that the gap between our front line first choice and the lads who are coming behind them is just a bit too big?
Yeah, like I put it together yesterday on the back of an envelope, and there was nothing surprising there. Like, I was writing names. It's kind of par for the course. Pretty much who's first choice, who's second choice. There's a little bit of debate about hooker, I would imagine. Dan Sheehan, Ronan Kelleher. I would say Dan is ahead at the minute, based off the fact of his own form, and Ronan's had a couple injuries. But overall, it's pretty well set now at this stage, and it's getting the depth underneath to be able to deal with any injuries is probably the main concern feeding into it. And
the depth isn't a problem just for Ireland. It's actually a problem for the provinces as well, where they're constantly trying to hothouse new, younger, particularly props. How difficult is it for somebody to get up to speed at the very top level so that you can go from playing URC to Heineken Cup? What's the difference in terms of scrummaging from your perspective and what you would have experienced as a player?
Between URC and Heineken Cup? Yeah, look, it is a big step up. It's a whole different week, different environment, different atmosphere you're playing. Like, you can go from playing, Dragons, a couple of thousand, to an absolutely packed out Thomond Park. So it's a different beast entirely. And then the step up to international. Wish I could give you a bit more of an insight into the step up from European rugby to international, but again, I would imagine it's a huge step up again. So going through those building blocks of club rugby, A rugby, URC, European, and then into international rugby takes time. And like you say, they are trying to shoehorn a few guys in, but look, they have to do that, and it's either sink or swim.
Where do you stand, Mike, on the Emerging Ireland tour itself? Like, I know there's been a bit of back and forth of controversy before it ever started, but is it a legitimate, I guess, opportunity for some of these players to stake a proper claim for squad selection?
Some, I would imagine, the likes of Frawley, Balakoon. I would think overall it's more to get a look at the guys in the environment, travelling, getting to see them, how their personalities work in a group atmosphere and an environment like that. The quality of games looks to be pretty low, unfortunately. I heard someone saying during the week that possibly a good AIL team would have given the emerging team a better game than they just played. So from that point of view, it's a little disappointing, but there are some there. Overall, I wouldn't imagine too many of the people down there, or players down there, will feature in the touring squad to the World Cup.
Yeah, I suppose the other thing is that from it's an opportunity for that coaching ticket to develop as well, and to kind of have, this is the first time they've not had Andy Farrell in the room going, okay, we're going to do it this way and this way and this way and this way. So from Easterby's perspective, I'd say it's a good opportunity for him to spread his wings a bit and to get a taste of what it's like to be the lead, and even just for the rest of them, like that's probably an under remarked upon part of that whole tour. Is like, that's an interesting that's a decision. That was interesting. But anyway, to go back to the front row, what do you learn from being pitched into Heineken Cup games? Like, do we need to bite the bullet this season a little bit and give some players who might not be first choice experience of being in the scrum? When you're saying it's a different week, is it a different match experience as well? Like, you're obviously against better players. What's the impact on your own performance when you're against a better player in the scrum?
It can be one of two ways. You can up your performance knowing that if you're not at a certain level, you can be put back in your box pretty quickly and be a weakness in the team, and any weakness at that level is exposed, or it can get to you and you ultimately are exposed. Yeah, look, what I mean by it's a different week, there's just more scrutiny, there's more media attention, there's like when I was leaving rugby, they were similar weeks. From when I first got involved with the Munster team in 2009, there was a definite difference between the week of a Magners League, as it was then, match as opposed to European match. Not in terms of a lackadaisical attitude, but it just was different. There was a different playing group, first of all, and there wasn't as much attention on it. It wasn't do or die. So that's kind of the difference. Like with Munster anyway, over the last 20 or so years, it's completely do or die in European Cup rugby. Obviously, we need to, I suppose, not lower expectations, but make them more realistic. That you can't look to win both tournaments every single year, and then if you don't, it's an absolute write-off of the season, which is what it appeared in the noughties. If Munster didn't win the European Cup, it was, this is a disaster of a season, or that's not realistic anymore. But it's just more pressure on you to perform, bigger crowds, more media attention, and a higher level of rugby and competition.
Okay, let's get into the depth chart. So at Loosehead, we have, it's very clear pecking order. Andrew Porter's number 1. On your list, you have Cian Healy 2, Dave Kilcoyne 3, Jeremy Lukeman 4, and James Cronin 5. So Andrew Porter is one of those undroppables from Ireland's first choice team, right? He's established himself as somebody who's at the very top level of the game at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Other than injury, he's going to be one of the first names on the team sheet. Playing significant minutes as well. You're looking at 60, 70 minutes sometimes, which is rare enough for a prop, but that's the situation we're in. That's the level he's playing at. And that's not to disparage what's beneath him, but he's just operating at a very, very elite level at the minute. You've
got Cian Healy down as a Loosehead. Is that where he is now from your perspective? Do you think that's like how the last few years of his career is going to finish up? Because there was some talk about maybe him finishing out as a sub off the bench or an emergency tighthead.
Yeah, perhaps if they're in a bind. I see him as a Loosehead. He's played there for 15 years now at this stage, and a really good guy to bring off the bench. He kind of peaks and troughs. He goes through really good patches of form, which he seems to be in at the minute. He's not getting too much rugby. I know he made his 250th appearance there a few weeks ago, which again is incredible considering the amount of international rugby he's played as well. So look, he's a brilliant guy to have there, and on his day he's world class as well. But I just think Porter has perhaps gone to the level Keane was at maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Is there anybody else on that list? So Dave Kilcoyne, Jeremy Lukeman, James Cronin, who could see a peak? Like what's Jeremy Lukeman's ceiling?
He's a really talented player. Yeah, he's an athlete. He's very fast, very skillful. A couple of years ago, people always refer to it, but I think he threw out like a 30-metre spin pass off his left-hand side out the wing in a European game when he was on in full motion. So, it's not many props that can do that. I know Tyke Furlong probably makes us all think it's easy for props to do that, but it's not. And he's a really good player. He's had a couple of injuries. He's in the environment. He's gone on tour with them. They know what he's like, and yeah, he's got a lot of potential. He's still young. I think one interesting one is James Cronin. I don't think you can ignore the fact that he's starting week in, week out for Premiership winners, Leicester. They're absolutely entrenched in set piece, scrum, maul. All that is what the club is built on. And if he gets a run of form, he's a really, really good player. He's matured a lot. He's gone through a lot. I read a nice article with him last week. So I just think he's in a very good place. I met him over the summer, and he was loving the environment. And, if you're playing week in, week out for a team like Leicester, it's very hard to ignore considering the lack of depth we have here.
One of those players who maybe, obviously is not up for selection at the moment, but who, in case of emergency, we could break glass for a World Cup.
He is.
No, we could, if we needed to, we could say, right, look, we're changing the rules. It's the World Cup.
Sorry, yes. I thought you were going to announce someone there.
Oh, no.
The name drop. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the rules could be changed for him. Prop is an area that we just can't go in undercooked or under-resourced to a World Cup. Helps that it's in France. It's not the big, massive travel over. But yeah, like he's played there before. I know he's only got 3 caps, which I found incredible. Having played with him for years, himself and Dave Kilcoyne were competing against each other for the past 10 or 12 years in Munster, and one of them will get injured, the other one will get in and have a great run of form and get up with Ireland, and then vice versa would happen. But I've a lot of time for him as a player. I think he's very good on his day.
Okay, to hooker, you've already said you think Dan Sheehan is slightly ahead of Ronan Kelleher at the moment. The cliche we throw out in this show all the time, the best ability is availability. Dan Sheehan has largely been bulletproof, and Ronan Kelleher has been very unfortunate with injuries. It's kind of nip and tuck, is it? Or are you starting to see Sheehan create a bit of separation in terms of the pecking order?
Look, when you're scoring 4 tries in a game, it's very hard to ignore that. Now, I know he's not doing much of the work, he's hanging off the back of the maul, but he's incredibly dynamic. Throwing technique is excellent. He had 2 crookeds against Ulster, but they were tired throws and he was putting himself around the pitch. In general, his throwing is excellent. And yeah, it's a little concerning about Kelleher. He's picking up injuries now. He had surgery over the summer. I know from experience it's a very attritional position, and if you get in a bad run of injuries, it's hard to get back up to the level you're at. Now, he hasn't had too many to the point where it might be detrimental to his overall performance and ability, but you'd like to see him get a clean bill of health leading up into the November internationals and then the Six Nations, and then it's a really, really good contest between the two guys for both Leinster and Ireland. I think we're blessed. The two of them are absolutely world class on the day, so if they're fit, we're very well served there.
That attrition point is an interesting one, Mike, because I was looking back last night just before we had you on this morning at Keith Wood's front row depth chart from, I think it was the start of last year, where he had Rob Herring as number 1. He obviously mentioned Dan Sheehan as kind of the next generation, but is it age profile that goes against someone? Like, I know you've Rob Herring in his number 3 there, but when you're looking for a World Cup next year, I think Dan Sheehan has maybe 7 or 8 years on Rob Herring. Is that kind of what you're looking for here, that you need someone young, someone with a bit of less mileage on the clock maybe for a World Cup?
Not particularly, to be honest. I just think Dan is at the minute performing to a level that he makes himself number 1 regardless of his age or experience. I think Rob is a really good guy to have for a match that maybe you want to rest your frontline players for, but you still want to keep consistency. He's a brilliant thrower of the ball, really good around set piece, and he's a good player around the park as well. So if there was an injury, he's an excellent guy to to fill in, and also to rest guys while maintaining a high level. He's probably at that level where he's just below the 2 guys. So yeah, that's kind of where I'd have him, regardless of his age or experience.
How close are Heffernan and Scannell to Herring?
It's kind of a supporting cast to the 2 guys. I think they prefer Herring. I think his set piece work is very strong, and he has a bit of dynamism around the pitch. I think Dave Heffernan would perhaps be more dynamic around the pitch, but maybe doesn't have as strong a set piece as Rob. And then Niall Scannell is very strong around set piece. Maybe his work around the pitch wouldn't be quite at the level of Dan Sheehan or Ronan Kelleher. So again, 3 really good guys to have in your squad will absolutely fulfill a role and perform at a level when you need them to. But I think the two Leinster guys have pushed themselves to where they're in conversations around some of the most dynamic and best hookers in Europe, if not world rugby at the minute.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely separation between those two. At Tighthead, again, Tyke Furlong, there's no one going to have any argument here. You got Finlay Bealham 2nd, Tom O'Toole 3rd, John Ryan 4th, and Marty Moore 5th. I don't think Marty Moore's been around the Ireland squad too much since he's come back to play his rugby in Ireland. But is there a world in which you bring somebody like Marty Moore on the occasion where you're up against a team who are potentially going to scrummage you off the park, right? Where if let's assume Furlong plays, right? But if there is, say we're going up against South Africa, is there a world in which you decide, actually, you know what, I'm going to put Marty Moore out there and he's going to lock down that scrum for us, and we're going to have no concerns about getting our own ball back when we have it, and we're going to have no concerns about conceding penalties when they have it? Because I just heard in commentary the other night somebody say, it's a great position for Ulster to be in, to have their best scrummager coming off the bench. And I'm like, is there, World Cup is a weird thing where you play 3 games in 2 weeks and then massive games week on week, and the attrition rates, as you've talked about, are massively high. Is there a world in which you bring somebody who is just there to lock down the scrum for half an hour or 20 minutes in a game, and you go, well, that was a strategic decision that we made? He might not actually be the 2nd or 3rd best tight heads that we have,
Yeah, I see a world in where that happens. I have John Ryan ahead of him. Obviously, John is over in England now. The only reason I have him ahead of him is he's been involved with the squad more recently than Marty. I don't think I can remember the last time Marty was involved in the squad. It's been several, but as you said, he is one of, if not the best, scrummaging tightheads in the country. And the fact that it's in France, maybe you don't bring him in your initial squad, but you know he's training away, keeping fit with Ulster, playing rugby, and he's there if you need to call him in. Maybe he's a little bit outside their thinking at the minute, but to have him in the back pocket is hugely beneficial. And maybe there's something that we don't know about, that he's not involved in the squads. Maybe there's an aspect of his game that the coaches have asked him to work on, and it hasn't got to the level that they wanted to be. But from a purely scrummaging point of view, a guy like him is invaluable. So if they're struggling, if they're coming up against a big pack, he's a good card to draw.
Is familiarity important there, Mike, as well? Like, it obviously strikes me that Porter, Sheehan, Furlong, hard to argue with any of the three, all Leinster players as well. Like, the fact that they're kind of used to playing with each other at provincial level, is that an important aspect to this too, when you're picking your first three?
Yeah, it would be. Look, the more reps you can get, line out, scrum, maul, the better. The more combinations you can... the more comfortable you can be in your combination, the better for everyone. You know, the three lads plus Kelleher, they'll be scrummaging day in, day out with each other up in Leinster, and then when they go to Ireland camp, it's second nature to them. So it definitely aids their ability to perform and build up a relationship with each other. And you know, all this counts. You know, how much you want to help your buddy out beside you, as opposed to some new guy coming in. And you know, I'm not saying you'll drop your levels, but you know, it all feeds into the psychology of it and that extra 1% of your performance.
One last question for you: is there anybody outside this list who you think might be a bolter, potential for a World Cup?
Here, put me on the spot here. I'll go back to my envelope and see if I had any names scribbled down. Is there anyone? Josh Wycherley is someone I probably should have mentioned. He's involved with the emerging squad. He's been up in Ireland camps. Possibly on the Loosehead side, he could be involved. If Ireland are very strict on not using anyone from England, he could go in there ahead of James Cronin. But no, like, it's something that, you know, I know I have 5 in each position there. All 5 are good players, but a couple injuries and we are quite bare. So
yeah,
one probably needs to put their hand up in the next 5-6 months of the season and maybe get into an Ireland camp over the summer. But there's no one that really stands out at the minute.
Well, fingers crossed somebody does put their hand up as well, and you know, we'll all be praying to whatever we believe in that that front row doesn't get injured. Mike, great stuff. Thanks a million for joining us. Cheers.
Cheers, lads. Nice talk.
That's the first of our rugby depth charts of the new season for you. Front row with Mike Sherry there.